The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 183. I'm Joseph Christina. On last week's show, we talked about Samsung contracted to make iPhone's A9 processor, Fuji provides direct rental service, the new Microsoft Surface 3, and Pictage reorganizes to stay afloat. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS. So normally I'd say, hey, Trevor, what's going on? But there's no Trevor here next to me. It's another week, but Trevor is off. He's actually on a plane as we speak. He's off to, once again, Las Vegas. This time it's for NAB. If you guys don't know what the NAB show is, it's basically the National Association of Broadcasters. I would love to have been able to join him, but there was just so much work going on over here locally, I just couldn't go. So that's going from April 11th to the 16th. So he's going to be gone for approximately a week. So good luck to Trevor over there. He's got a lot of great stuff to see, a lot of incredible products and stuff. So when he gets back next week, we're going to have a full show with a ton of NAB announcements, because we already know through press release there's going to be a bunch going on there. So once again, I wish I could have been there with him. But anyways, we are here together and we got a lot of stuff to kind of go over this week. There's a lot of announcements, obviously pre-NAB. So let's kind of delve right into it. For the Nikon folks out there, I know you guys have been waiting for a new firmware update, especially for the higher end devices, like for example, the D4S and the D810, as well as the D750s. Especially when it comes to video. And that's what they're now going to roll out for you guys. And I know you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I think it's finally slated to come. I think it's summer is what they're saying. So it's any time now we're going to see it. And that's going to give you a lot more functionality. So give it a moment and it's going to be there for you. Kind of moving on, Yosemite, OS X, finally they're introducing the Photos app. And we talked about this, guys, for a couple of weeks, I don't know, it's kind of about a month ago or so. And I don't know, Apple went through this problem where they're like, what do we do? Are we going to service the pro? Are we going to service the consumer? Microsoft had that same problem for a while there. And they said, we're going to service the consumer. And this really affected their product line. Well, they ended up, I know we talked about it, they dropped Aperture, which a lot of us weren't happy about. Most of us were using Lightroom at this point, but still a lot of us were using Aperture, and they just simply like it. It just simply works. So now they're moving into Photos. Photos is now available as of 10.10.3. Basically the latest revision of OS X. Provides for iCloud photo libraries, burst photos, slow-mo, time-elapsed videos, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's nice, but remember, it's very consumer-ish, let's call it. But nevertheless, you guys want to get into it, you want to start moving things over, there's two ways of doing it. And I pulled up a screen here as I was taking a look at moving things over. And the way it works is if you have never used iPhoto or Aperture, then you have one process. If you have, then there's another process. So let's say if you have never used it before, what it does is it gives you the availability, once you get in there, to either import your photos directly from a video camera, or you can import from, let's say, an SD card. Or you can drag and drop files into Photos. That's always great. That makes it simple. And of course, your file menu. You can move things around through the file menu. Now, if you do already have iPhoto or Aperture, what that's going to mean is you're going to have libraries, right? So we need to move those libraries in. And the way that it makes it pretty simple, it asks you right across the board, what do you want to use? Do you want to use a library from Aperture? Do you want to use a library from the cloud, let's say? Do you want to use your iPhotos library? What library do you want to use? And that's going to be your quote unquote main library where you're going to start importing images. What's really neat is the idea of using an iCloud library. What that does is, guys, it gives you the ability to set up your Mac and your iDevice, your iPhone, your iPad, to be able to share that library. So if you're taking pictures, those pictures might go up into the cloud, and now you'll also see them on your Mac, and vice versa. It's really a neat way to put everything together. Now, the one thing keep in mind is even if you did go and say, we want to use your Aperture library, keep this in mind. It's not going to destroy your Aperture library. It's not going to delete it. It's not going to remove it. It's not going to do anything. You'll still have it there. Because I know many people are still going to want to use Aperture for all of their high-end edits. Because remember, Photos is, like I said, very consumerish. It doesn't have all of the nice stuff that you're used to if you have used Aperture in the past. Now, if you're an iPhotos user, well, then moving into this might be even better for you. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to destroy your Aperture library. You'll still be able to edit photos in Aperture, but bear in mind, it will not sync those photos. You will have to do those manually. So anytime you do make an edit, you might want to create a folder just for your edited images and then sync that folder into, let's say, your iCloud library or however you want to set it up, your main library in air quotes. Bear in mind, though, that when you do move things over, you're going to lose your star ratings, you're going to lose your flags, you're going to lose your color labels. And when I say lose, let's just say lose those functionality, the functionality that is inherent to that. So let's say you're 5-star, you're not going to be able to now change it to 4-star. What it will do is, what I'm understanding is, it'll change it into keywords that this is 4-star, 5-star, so you can still search for it, but it just loses all functionality. So be sure you're aware of that, because I know for myself, I've spent probably thousands of hours building that keyword list, the flag list, the color labels, and of course all the star ratings, because the star ratings are mission critical for me. You do a job, and I'm doing 1 star on everything that I want to keep. Everything else gets lost, basically deleted. 2 stars are used for once I get them, kind of hone them down. 3 stars are usually the ones that we give to the client for proofs, and then either 4 or 5 I use for, let's say, print work or something that's digital that the client wants. So that's the way I use star ratings. It works out really well for me, and I've been doing this for 5-6 years with, for example, Lightroom alone. And it just simply works. I've used it ever since the very beginning. Actually, in Aperture, we even did that. So anyways, that's kind of the gist, or let's call it the skinny, with the Photos app. For me, in my opinion, I'm not going to be using it. Like I said, it's very consumerish. If you're a pro-am or a professional, spend the $10 if you don't already have Lightroom and grab a copy of Lightroom, because it's going to serve you much, much better, and you're going to be able to move forward with it. Whereas with the whole Photos thing, it's very limited. Let's just call it that. So anyways, moving on. How many of you guys have bought the Apple Watch? I don't know. For me, I don't know about the Apple Watch. I think it's an interesting concept. I like it. I like the idea of it, but will I buy an Apple Watch? I don't know. I think I'm always a revision 2 or revision 3 kind of guy, but if you're one of those people that had to absolutely get it, just I think it was yesterday or the day before, you were able to pre-order them. Well, after 6 hours of pre-order, they're gone. I don't know. I don't even know how Apple does this, but literally after 6 hours, all models are sold out. And now we have an estimated ship time of 4 to 6 weeks, which to me is just ludicrous. I don't know. A company, the largest company like in the world, massive Apple, they can't just make some more watches? I mean, I don't know. Who's the one that's deciding on how many to make? Is this planned? Do they do this just to kind of squeeze people so that there's more enthusiasm to it, or more desire, so they sell more? I don't really know. But I know that the watches are going from about $550. I think they're right around there. I think base is like $3 something, but with the band, time you're done, let's say $550, all the way up to $17,000, I think, for like gold band something or other. As far as the Apple Watch goes, I think I'm going to wait. One of the things that I do like about it is that it kind of combines so much functionality of other things. Like, for example, like a Fitbit. I could imagine that the guys over there for Fitbit, for Nike, for all these different monitoring devices are probably not having it right now. They're probably not happy, because anyone that buys an Apple Watch is pretty much just saying see ya to those devices, because this is going to do it for you, and it'll probably do it better. So, I mean, there's a lot of functionality there, but what I want to see, I'm not the big watch guy. I know that was like the fad for a short period of time, where the watches were basically the size of Big Ben, like a clock, which is, let's just call it ridiculous for me. But regardless, I like a really thin watch. And right now, to me, I think it's a little bit thick. It's the Rev 1s. I'm going to guess Rev 2, Rev 3 are going to be thinner and thinner. I want a little bit of a thinner watch, so I'm going to wait a little bit on that. So we'll see what ends up happening. You guys write into the show or give us a ring. Let us know if you did get an Apple Watch and what you think about it, because we really would like to know. I think it's a really cool device, and but for me, I'm just going to wait. As far as Trevor, I bet you he's going to wait too. Anyways, before we go any further, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
So, all right, guys, we are back. Moving along. LinkedIn acquires Lynda. Is that huge or what? You know, if you don't know who Lynda is, or lynda.com, then you're like been under a rock. Lynda.com basically is a knowledge base. They do videos, they do how-tos, they do educational-based content, all digital. And their acquisition, LinkedIn's acquisition, cost them $1.5 billion. That's not million, $1.5 billion for Lynda. But they received over 500 photo courses and 24,000 videos. So that is massive. That is a massive amount of content that LinkedIn is going to have. And it's really pretty smart if you think about it. LinkedIn is really getting into like the job thing, where they're trying to link you with other people that need work, or people that they're getting jobs for people. They're providing the education now too. It's kind of like this all-in-one place for not only getting a job, posting your information, posting stuff about you, all of the thing. It's starting to feel very well fleshed out and very well rounded. So I could see LinkedIn doing some really, really wonderful things with the lynda.com content for sure. But you see, folks like Chase Jarvis, for example, with Creative Live, who also provide free educational courses. Let's just say it's free if you watch them live. If you want to get those courses after the fact, then of course you have to pay for them. But regardless, if you want, you can get them for free by watching. So I think that this acquisition is going to kind of put pressure onto these type of services, for example, like the Chase Jarvis's Creative Live and others out there, because I'm going to guess that with this acquisition means that they're going to not stop. They're going to continue producing with their internals to Lynda to make more and more content, maybe double the content, maybe even more than that. Who knows? But it's a big play. I really, really think that it's a big play. And in my personal opinion, more quality education is what we need. The more quality education, the better. There is a bunch of junk out there, especially through YouTube. There's just a lot. So when you see the quality stuff, you recognize it, and that's where you kind of want to go to. So anyways, moving on. This is interesting, especially for me. Adobe, they are revealing their next generation, let's say, Premiere Pro, their next generation creative packages. This is good. And of course, this will be cloud only. This will be CC, but it'll be all new versions of things that we use all the time. For example, After Effects, Audition, the Adobe's Media Encoder, which is mission critical to everything we do, as well as Premiere Pro that we use for editing this video and many other videos, as we stopped using Final Cut when they dumbed that down. So anyways, I do find it interesting that they're really making this push towards video and multimedia content. They've introduced a new animation app. It's called Adobe's Character Animator, which is really neat. It allows you to bring like 2D images to life, like 2D characters to life, which is really cool. I can see this just a PowerPoint crazy right here. I could see this being really neat. Also, Speed Grade, which is once again grading, right? Color grading is really important. They have that, and they have almost like a side to that. They have this new project. It's called Project Candy. That's the code name. And what it does is it allows you to create looks, is what they call them, with your phone. So I'll tell you how this works, and it really is very interesting, especially for me. Let's say we went to a location and we shot a video, and for some reason someone didn't bring their gray card to really shoot a nice balance to see what is neutral in that location at, let's say, 4 o'clock when the sun's going down and everything is getting warm, right? And you're like, God, now, the guy that's doing the grading is just having to work so hard. What is neutral? They're trying to guess, and it's just a mess. With looks, they can go and take their mobile phone, let's say, go to that location, take a photograph, upload it into the cloud, and now someone in the studio can download that quote-unquote look and use that as a profile for your color grade. So really neat. And for me, I can just see that, Adobe's really taken the reins when it comes to video and multimedia. They've always been the experts over in Photoshop. I mean, what else is there to use, right? That's what everyone, uses, let's say. But they know that 4K is going to be huge, which it already is, but we're kind of moving there. They know that 8K will be right around the corner. They understand that video is at this point more important than photo almost. So they're moving in that direction. They're continuing, obviously, ramping up Photoshop, but I think that they're doing more work in the arena of video, and it's very apparent just by these offerings and all of the new things that they have that they're putting into, for example, Audition and Premiere Pro, which we use all the time. So this would take the show extremely long, so I'm not going to get into all of the revisions and stuff, but maybe in the next show or the follow-up show after that one, we'll talk more in-depthly about, for example, Premiere Pro. What are they doing with it? Or how can you use it, or how can you use the new CC version even more effectively than you used your old version? Or the same thing with Audition. So, kudos out there to Adobe. I've said it in the past that, as the one gorilla out there, let's just say, has no one left to fight with, it's very easy for them to sit back on their laurels and do nothing. And seeing this innovation, seeing new applications coming out, and seeing all of the new things being introduced into the past applications, that really makes me feel good that that I say that I am currently and probably still will be an Adobe user for the near future. But anyways, moving on. Canon is now releasing a new camera. We talked about this a week or two ago, the Canon XC10. And what it is, it's a digital camera, but it's more of a camcorder, even though it's like a DSLR. It's a video device that shoots 4K as well as 1080p, but it also does stills. What's interesting is this is running on a 1-inch CMOS sensor, and it's delivering 12 stops of light. So it's pretty impressive for low light on a 1-inch sensor. So that's pretty nice. I like where they're going with this. I like that they're doing this kind of crossover hybrid camera, video camera. It's more video than camera. Whereas, for example, a 5D Mark III or whatnot, those are more camera and less video. They do video wonderfully, but this is more on the video side. So it also allows, which is very interesting, 8 megapixel stills to be captured out of the 4K video. I've talked about this last week and the week before. It is my belief that in the future, we're going to be, as photographers, capturing 2, 3, 5 seconds of video and then pulling out stills. Why? Because it's easy, right? It's easy. Anyone can do it. This is where we're going. The pros are really going to have to fight for everything, because it's going to be so easy to make a good picture. Because just think about it. If you have a bunch of people and you're taking a picture of, let's say, 6 or 8 people in a like a family portrait, let's say, you roll 10 seconds of video. Out of those 10 seconds at 30 frames per second, you end up with 300 frames to choose from. Out of that, surely there's going to be a frame where everyone's eyes are open and they're all smiling. But just taking the one snap and almost having to be a psychic to get that shot as a professional, I guess I would say that we're very intuitive to know what's going to happen before it happens. That's why we're pros, but you don't need to do that anymore. So it's kind of sad, but it's kind of good at the same time. It's just how things are migrating forward. So anyways, this also has absolutely rock solid optical image stabilization, which is critical, right? Now, how much better are those stills going to be if you have this just great optical image stabilization? Awesome, right? So it also will do fast motion shooting as well as slow motion shooting. Now, as far as capture goes, to get that full speed capture, you're going to need a CFast card. You're not going to be able to use just a standard SD. So with a CFast card, you're going to be able to capture up to 305 megs per second. Crazy. That's 4K. If you want to do 1080p, you could just use an SD card and that will work just fine for your standard HD. Interesting is it has a mechanical shutter. Now we know we've talked about this in the past as far as rolling shutter, and you get that jello effect where things are just horrible when you're panning, right? Well, this will alleviate a lot of that. You won't have that rolling shutter. So in essence, this will be better than a 5D or a Nikon equivalent or a 7D or whatnot that you're shooting video with. Whenever you're doing movement like that and you get that jello, it doesn't look good. It's basically wasted footage. You just can't use it. This will stop that. Also, it has built-in ND filter, a neutral density. That's really important. And it will do ISO 160 all the way up to 20,000. So as we were saying earlier, low light is incredible with this camera. Really, really good. The one thing that I don't understand is, as far as connectivity, they still use a standard USB 2. Why? Could they just not put USB 3 into it? I don't understand. But that's one of the things that just I don't understand this. It happens all the time when you see a company come up with something amazing and then they just leave something out. I don't get it. But regardless, HDMI out, yes, through a mini HDMI port, version 1.4 as far as the out. That's really great for monitoring. Microphone, absolutely. Headset, absolutely. So you can monitor audio. It does have built-in wireless. It's kind of neat. I do like it. Remote control, it does have. So you do have wireless remote control. Once again, you could use your smartphone as a wireless controller, or wired or wireless, however you want to do it. And it's at $2,499. So $2,500, very similar price to getting a setup with, let's say, a 5D or a 7D even, or the same thing on the Nikon side. So the price is definitely right. I do like it. Now, right around the corner from this, it's coming in right around September. Canon is said to be introducing a C300. Let's call it the big brother, a C300 Mark II. This thing is very similar in shape and size, a little bit bigger, but it's full frame, guys. This will be full frame capture, not the 1-inch sensor. This will be a full frame sensor. Now, 4K on this would be amazing. I can't even imagine low light on this. Who knows what ISO this will go to, but this looks very, very interesting. The problem is it's about 10 times the cost. You're looking at about $20,000. So anyways, you'll be able to see this higher end version in September. So take a look at that, and we'll look at it more once it becomes available. But anyways, guys, it's been, I don't want to take up too much more time because there's so much that we're going to want to talk about coming up next week, but I wanted to do something for you guys. So let me get out of here. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so through Twitter. You can find me at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H. And for me, it's the end of a show, but it's kind of a beginning of something new. Before I sign off, I want to kind of let you know that I'm kind of redoing the studio from scratch. And if you're getting a little bit of echo this week, I apologize, but it's really, I'm just, everything is taken apart in here. The space is just shredded, and we're going to be doing a lot of videos coming up soon. I have a whole area that's going to be set up, and there's a lot of new things that are going to be coming, but stay tuned. And like I said, keep an eye on Twitter, because you'll be able to see, and I'm going to kind of tweet things as they become live over there at Joseph Christina. So anyways, you can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/183. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe, or call our comment line at 440-345-6707. Once again, that's 440-345-6707, and we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe Show with Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your host.